Welcome, everyone, to the Corinne True Center for Baha'i History. The center was established by the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States in January of 2024, and its purpose is to foster the study of Baha'i history, Baha'i sacred texts, Baha'i philosophical and theological concepts, and world religions from a Baha'i and comparative perspective. I am Robert Stockman, the director of the center. Joining me today is Dr. Necati Alkan. He has been fascinated by Baha'i studies, really, I guess, since his youth, especially Baha'i history. He's been studying Islamic studies and history for some time, and then later at the university, he was able to also study Arabic, Persian, and particularly Ottoman Turkish, beside his native Turkish and his almost native German and English. As a result, he felt equipped to delve into Baha'i studies. He's been publishing about the topic since 2001 about various aspects of the subject. His MA thesis was a kind of breakthrough study of the relationship between the Baha'i faith and Islamic reform movements in the 19th century. That came out in 1998. And then in a more deep and extended fashion, his PhD thesis was about the Babis and Baha'is in the Ottoman Empire and Turkey from 1844 to 1920s. The latter was also then published as a book titled Dissent and Heterodoxy in the Late Ottoman Empire, Reformers, Babis, and Baha'is. So he's been publishing really quite a lot on these subjects. Since then, his postgraduate research has been crucial because this, for understanding this genesis of the Babi and Baha'i religions in the Ottoman context, and that until now it's been poorly researched. Necati really has provided some of the main information we have on this subject. Today he's going to give us exposure to a topic that up to this point we've really had very little available in English, and that's the writings of Abdu'l-Baha in Ottoman Turkish. So I will now turn this over to Necati. Necati, welcome so much to the Corinne True Center for Baha'i.
Thank you, Rob.
We're delighted to have you here, and I will exit stage left and turn on your PowerPoint so you can get started.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back here. Thank you. So let me share the screen if I can. So let me know if you see it, please. So I guess you see my screen. Yes, my topic today is Abdu'l-Baha's knowledge of Turkish and his Turkish writings. So welcome everyone. I hope it will be interesting enough. No, this again doesn't, no. I hope you can see the slides. So to begin with, we know that over 90% of the works of the Bab and well over half of the works of Baha'u'llah and 1/3 of the works of Abdu'l-Baha are in Arabic. And then the remainder are in Persian or a mixture of the two. And we have a very small fraction of Abdu'l-Baha's correspondence in Ottoman and Azeri Turkish. We have about 150 to 200 Turkish tablets to Baha'is in Azerbaijan, meaning in Iran and the Caucasus, so the Iranian Azerbaijan and the Republic of Azerbaijan. And some tablets actually are Turkish, but also have Arabic and Persian, so they are trilingual, which is fascinating. And there are about Turkish letters by Abdu'l-Baha to Ottoman officials, or just random Ottoman people, around 350. These are draft letters at the Baha'i World Centre in Haifa, Israel. And he also has a few Turkish poems, actually, beautiful ones. The Turkish letters to Ottoman officials, as I said, around 350, are mostly daily mundane issues. So, for example, good wishes for religious festivals, and then you have people asking for goods from Abdu'l-Baha, like olive oil or they're asking for letters of recommendation, and really like daily and seemingly unimportant issues sometimes. But around 30 Turkish letters of Abdu'l-Baha, I forgot to finish the sentence. Around 30 Turkish letters of Abdu'l-Baha, like correspondence with Ottomans, are about political issues in the Ottoman Empire. I will come to that at the end of my presentation. And these Turkish tablets of Abdu'l-Baha were, as far as I know, published twice in Iran. Once the first time, probably in 1949, by the Baha'i Publishing Trust, and then in 1970, also by the Baha'i Publishing Trust. And we have also the Iranian National Baha'i Archives, INBA volumes, which are also available online. They have also Turkish tablets. And we have a book called Tarikh Saysan. It's about a Baha'i village in the time of Abdu'l-Baha in Iran and Azerbaijan. And so the whole village was Baha'i. And there are also Turkish letters and tablets of Abdu'l-Baha to the Baha'is in that village. As you probably know, Arabic, Persian, and Turkish are the three main Islamic languages. And so also in the Baha'i faith, there are the three languages of revelation, if you will. And coming to the Turkish or the Turkic languages, just to give you a brief overview. So Turkish or Turkic languages are spoken from Central Asia to the Balkans, actually, as you can see in the various blue spots here, the countries here, and the red dots on this map. So we have countries with official Turkic language, which is the Republic of Azerbaijan. We have Cyprus, Northern Cyprus, the Turkish part. We have Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkey, of course, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Karakalpakstan. And then we have a territorial autonomous unit of Gagauz and Moldova in the Balkans, which is Gagauz Turkish and is similar to the Turkish in Turkey. And we have various regions in China, actually, the most famous one being the Uyghur autonomous region. And as you probably know, the Uyghurs are also in the news, being oppressed by the Chinese government, just to assimilate them into the Chinese culture, but they actually speak Turkish. In Russia, we have also various regions, foremost the Altai Republic, and the Turks say that the Altai mountains are their homeland, from where they scattered all over Central Asia and later also to Anatolia, Turkey. And then we have, in the Caucasus, we have a few regions about where Turkish is spoken. Also in Russia, as that's the list continues, in Tatarstan, in the Ukraine, in the Crimea, and so on. And we have, as you can see in the red descriptions on the right side, we have countries where Turkic language is spoken by a minority population of at least 50,000, such as Afghanistan, Bosnia, Bulgaria, Georgia, Greece, Iraq, Macedonia, Romania, Syria, Tajikistan, Ukraine. And we have also subdivisions where Turkic language is spoken by a majority in Iran, Azerbaijan province, Ardabil, Zanjan, and in the Fars province. Yes, so, and we have a few like attestations by Abdu'l-Baha himself about his knowledge of Turkish. And in this one, in a talk in Edinburgh, in Scotland, he addressed the Esperantists, actually, and he's told them, today, if one wishes to travel abroad, even though possessed of several languages, he is likely to be seriously handicapped because he does not know the particular language of one people. And then he says, I have studied Oriental languages profoundly and know the Arabic better than the Arabians themselves. I have studied Turkish and Persian in my native land, besides other languages of the East. Nevertheless, when I visited the West, I had to take an interpreter with me, quite as if I knew no language. So this is interesting when Abdu'l-Bahá says, I've studied Turkish and Persian in my native land. So I didn't know that actually. And I guess he was exposed to Turkish in Tehran because the Qajars, the monarchy, the Shah and his family, they spoke Turkish in the palace. That's probably what he's saying. And then another, in an interview with Hudson Maxim, where Maxim says, I'm glad to hear you speak English. Abdu'l-Bahá says, my life has been spent in the Orient, where foreign languages are seldom used. Otherwise, I would have acquired English. Language is the great barrier between nations. When thoughts are interchanged, destinies become one. All languages are difficult of acquirement, for the real language is deeper than the outer words. And then Maxim asks him, are you speaking in Turkish? Abdu'l-Bahá says, in Persian. I also speak Turkish and Arabic. Turkish is very difficult. In the East, it is thought that acquiring Turkish is equivalent to the study of 3 other tongues. So I don't know, because Turkish is my mother language, and it seems to me easier than other languages. But this is Abdu'l-Bahá speaking, of course. And we have attestations by others about Abdu'l-Bahā's Turkish, one of which is by Mirza Haydar Ali, who was a prominent Baha'i, who also stayed a long time with Abdu'l-Bahá in Haifa. And in an unpublished account of his life, Mirza Haydar Ali says that he speaks about Abdu'l-Bahā's preeminence in the Turkish language and says his clear and adequate replies to inquiries about spiritual matters in most eloquent Turkish caused the eloquent and learned men of Turkestan to confess their weakness and made them humble and lowly. And by Turkestan, it's meant with the regions where Turkish or Turkic is spoken, as I showed you on the map. So apparently Abdu'l-Bahā's letters or tablets were scattered in these regions. And then Mirza Haydar Ali also mentions a meeting of Abdu'l-Bahá with the prominent Ottoman minister Mithat Pasha in Akka, and Mirza Haydar Ali quotes Mithat Pasha saying that he had heard about Abdu'l-Bahā's utterances in Turkish, which were a proof of his immense knowledge. And he's saying that he heard about this from other Ottoman intellectuals he was in contact with. An Ottoman intellectual who met Abdu'l-Bahá said the Sheikh spoke the Turkish language very well. Another Ottoman observer remarked Abbas Effendi's firm grasp and proficiency in each of the Arabic, Turkish, and Persian languages is indeed astonishing. In all 3 languages, he is capable in prose and poetry like a native speaker. And it's really amazing. It really is like that. Another Ottoman Arab intellectual, Amin Arslan, when he met Abdu'l-Bahá, he wrote this: he is a man of rare intelligence, and although Persian, he has a deep knowledge of our Arabic language. And I possess some Arabic letters from him, which are masterpieces in style and thought, and above all in Oriental calligraphy. And another Ottoman intellectual called Shukri Effendi from Syria, he published his meeting with Abdu'l-Bahá in Egypt, and this was published in 1911. He said, he is a wise man, a philosopher, and his knowledge of the Turkish, Persian, and Arabic is unsurpassed. He knows the history of nations and understands the causes of their rise and fall. Now I will share a few provisional translations of the Turkish tablets of Abdu'l-Bahá. I will read it, and you just, you know, I hope you enjoy it. So there are different, as I said, there are around 150 of those tablets, to mostly Baha'is in Azerbaijan, mostly in Iran, but also in the Caucasus. So one of the tablets is this, and this is, as I said, my provisional translation. My beloved friends and helpers, the Abha beauty, the beloved of the worlds, hath lifted the veils in this world and manifested himself like unto the sun. His beauty shineth radiantly. The sagacious and intelligent Turks with discerning hearts are delighted. Their eyes are bright, and they are bewildered. Well done, 1,000 times well done. For those Turks are wise and discerning. But a band of bat-like miserable people close their eyes, and while they are immersed in darkness, they ask, where is the light? Where are the mysteries? Where are the signs? And thus proclaim their blindness. When the blessed day shineth forth for the discerning eyes, that day is full of auspicious omen. It is the guidance unto the truth and comfort for every sorrowful heart. Therefore, it is incumbent upon you to offer your praises and thanks unto God, that he hath accepted you, filled you with gladness, and made you to be his favored servants at his threshold. The glory of the all-glorious rest upon you. Another tablet by Abdu'l-Baha in Turkish goes like this. O ye beloved servants of the most glorious, Janab Agha Muhammad Ismail is intimate with the breath of Gabriel, meaning the Archangel Gabriel, and witness to the writing of this letter in this assembly. To withstand the soul-slaying Turk of Tabriz and the brave champion of Azerbaijan is impossible. Therefore I took the pen and intended to write, and only when I took the sorrowful pen, it became evident that the breezes of radiant holiness have been wafted from the Abha kingdom, and thus perfumed the nostrils of my spirit and that of the people of Azerbaijan. For they are utterly worthy of the grace and bestowals of the blessed beauty. May my life be a sacrifice unto his loved ones. Yet another one is this one, where Abdu'l-Baha says, O thou peerless plant in the garden of divine knowledge, resurrection is so exciting and the day of judgment full of blessings. The Turk turneth into a kinsman, the Arab into a foreigner, and the Persian into a stranger. Distant becometh near, the deficient perfect, the learned ignorant, the strong weak, and the mighty abased. God, the all-glorious Lord, saith in the wondrous Quran, and we wish to be gracious to those who were being depressed in the land, to make them leaders and make them heirs. And then Abdu'l-Baha finishes, thou art of the heirs. Just to mention two beautiful tablets about earthly and spiritual sovereignty. In the first one, Abdu'l-Baha says, O servant of the blessed beauty, Solomon, son of David, peace be upon him, hath said, O my Lord, grant me a sovereignty which suits not another after me. This is quoted from the Quran, actually. That sovereignty is earthly and not the intended meaning. For earthly sovereignty is, in the end, he loseth both this world and the hereafter. Again, a verse from the Quran. And the sovereignty is the sovereignty of the world of inner meanings and the dominion of the most exalted paradise. This region is the kingdom of God. And this interesting one about Alexander the Greek, actually, where Abdu'l-Baha addresses someone called Iskandar, which means Alexander. And then he says, although Alexander the Greek hath conquered the continent of Asia and even some regions of other continents, he lastly met with the misfortune of annihilation. Whereas he was a lord, he became a slave. And whereas he was a rich man, he became indigent. Whilst he was wearing a long garb, he became naked. And whereas he was full of life, he became black dust. Since matters are such, thou shouldst, by establishing a spiritual dominion and putting in authority a moral government, enchant the cities of the hearts of the friends, and make their sense of smelling redolent with musk. We addressing the Baha'is in Azerbaijan. Abdu'l-Baha has also a few tablets where he speaks about the importance of the Caucasus actually, and in this one he says, they say that the origin of the Caucasus, which is Kafkaz in Arabic and Persian and Turkish, is Mount Kaf. So Mount Kaf is actually a mystical or a legendary mountain in Islamic lore, Jabal Kaf, or in Persian Kuhe Kaf. And Abdu'l-Baha said this Mount Kaf is the nest of the divine phoenix and the celestial Simurgh. And Simurgh is also again a mystical bird in Persian Sufi poetry. And Abdu'l-Baha uses this symbol. He says the friends of God must endeavor and display sacrifice in such wise that this country may truly become the nest of the Simurgh of the love of the Abha beauty and the abode of divine knowledge for the phoenix of the dawning place of the most exalted countenance. Peace and blessings be upon you. Among his Turkish tablets, Abdu'l-Baha has also some about believing women. In this one, he says, O ye pure handmaidens of the blessed beauty. So meaning Baha'i believers who were women. Praised and glorified be God that ye have attained the stations of nearness to the all-glorious. While many ascetics and devotees who take no account of the time of the day consecrate themselves to the adored one in the mosques and monasteries with heads constantly bowed in worship. And numerous holy women and nuns seclude themselves by renouncing the world and live in a state of continual fasting. Have not. They are destitute, ye enjoy intimate access to the inmost secrets. They are counted as among the dead, ye are quickened and set free by the water of life, have become manifestations of divine favors, dayspring of guidance, and centers of bestowals. One should thank God, praise and glorify Him, worship Him, and be steadfast in His covenant and testament. Glory be upon you. And this other one, addressed also to a Baha'i woman. He is God, O true and discerning leaf, notwithstanding that Layli, you know the story about Layli and Majnun in Persian, in the Persian, literature. So Abdu'l-Baha says, O true and discerning leaf, notwithstanding that Layli possessed a sweet countenance, she was not a manifestation of divine guidance. The essence of beauty and true sweetness is the light of faith. This is the real beauty of human beings. He saith, Thou wilt recognize in their faces the beaming brightness of bliss. Again, quoting the Quran. A believing woman whose face is beaming with this light, who hath been awakened and whose words are soul-stirring, is the Layli of divine reality. And we have this prayer by Abdu'l-Baha, actually in Azeri Turkish, which is also recited, much recited by Turkish Baha'is, and I'm sure by Baha'is in Azerbaijan. I will just read it to you in the original language, and those among you who listen and are Iranians will see that most of the words are Persian actually, and just suffixes or whatever you might call them are in Turkish. So Abdu'l-Baha says, Ey yezdan mihribanım, kusurum çok ve ameli mebrurum yok. Günahkarım, bedkirdarım, gamginim, bitemkinim, biçareyim, avareyim. Giriftarım, sitemkarım. Sen gafursun, sen gayursun, sen sabursun. Sen kaşif-i zalam-ı deycursun. İlahi fazl eyle, lütfeyle, kerem eyle. Rahmetle muamele eyle. Gönülleri şad eyle. Canları azad eyle. İhsanını müstat eyle. So this is a prayer for forgiveness, actually, where a sinner implores God, or he attests his, being a sinner, being full of mistakes, being indigent, and so on, and then he asks God for his blessings, his mercy, and in the end, the believer ask God that he may rejoice all hearts and free all souls, and to multiply his blessings. Here is an example of a trilingual tablet of Abdu'l-Baha in the Arabic-Persian script. And what you can see in the beginning, on the left, on the top of the tablet, in yellow is Arabic. It starts with Arabic, and then what's in the red mark is Turkish, and then at the end it starts with green, and then on the right side, what is in the green place is Persian, and then it ends with Arabic again. So it's just an amazing example of Abdu'l-Baha's knowledge of all three languages. As I said, there are Turkish letters, I would call them letters to Ottoman officials, around 350. And as I said, mostly are about daily issues, but there are also 30 Turkish letters of Abdu'l-Baha to a certain Bedri Pasha with political content. And there are also replies of Bedri Pasha to Abdu'l-Baha, actually, at the Baha'i World Centre. I already mentioned Bedri Pasha in my previous talks about Ottoman reformers, but I will just briefly again repeat this for those who may not have listened to that. So Bedri Pasha actually was among the young Turks who later released Abdu'l-Baha. He was a military commander, writer and translator from French. He was involved as a young soldier in the deposition of Sultan Abdulaziz in 1876, and then was exiled to Palestine and Syria as a colonel. And after the 1908 Young Turk Revolution, Bedri was governor general in the Albanian province of Ishkodra from 1909 to 1911. And there are two Persian Baha'i sources who mention Bedri Bey as being exiled to Akka, being the translator of Abdu'l-Baha into French and a Baha'i. And so we have Habib Mayat's description of Bedri Bey. He says, Bedri Bey, who later became Bedri Pasha, was one of the prisoners of Akka who was extremely bright and well educated. Frequently, he attained the presence of the master, and subsequently he became a believer. And later, Abdu'l-Baha's physician Yunus Khan Afrukhte mentioned that prominent people such as Bedri humbly walked behind him, behind Abdu'l-Baha, bowed themselves before the shrine of Baha'u'llah and emulated Abdu'l-Baha in kissing the threshold as they entered the shrine itself. So in those letters, Abdu'l-Baha, as I said, talks about some political issues concerning the young Turks, but he also praises Bedri Pasha's exceptional administration in Albania. He encourages Bedri to establish unity based on Baha'i core beliefs by abolishing division and enmity among the diverse people of the province. And Abdu'l-Baha says that it's crucial to deliver the people from ignorance and inertia and bring them into the civilized world, meaning some of the Albanian people. And the means for this foremost achievement, Abdu'l-Baha says, is the diffusion of knowledge and education, making it accessible to all, and so delivering the diverse sects from evils and foolish prejudices. To finish, to sum up, the Turkish tablets and letters of Abdu'l-Baha, just a tiny fraction of his writings, really a tiny fraction, but they contain important issues that help us understand about his Ottoman connections. For example, his release in 1908 by the Young Turk Revolution about Abdu'l-Baha's daily life and his care for Azeri and Turkish Baha'is. Thank you very much. I'm not hearing you, Rob.
Thank you so much. That's absolutely fascinating.
Thank you, Rob.
And I'm delighted that we were able to hear some of the tablet and such a lovely of of things as well, especially the things he wrote to the various Baha'is.
Mm.
I'm curious if someone, Carol writes, how much are the various Turkish languages understandable?
Very good question. So let me say from my own experience, the closest is the Azeri, like Turkish. We understand, we can communicate, but sometimes the meaning of words are different. Yeah. So, but that's the easiest. And then the ones in Moldova, Gaga was also very similar to the Turkish. And then if you go towards this Central Asian, it becomes a more difficult. But
Less
like,
and less.
yeah, it's very they mostly have some original Turkish words, more than Turkish, because Turkish was infused with Arabic and Persian, also the Central Asian Turkic languages, but they are also sometimes, I would say, a bit purer than the Turkish spoken in Turkey. And then if you go to Siberia, to Sakha, to the Yakut Republic, I don't get a word of that. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, that would be quite remote. The connection, the most recent common language speakers were quite far back in that case, I'm sure.
Mm.
Oh, that's fascinating. And with the Azeri Turkish, you understood it, I guess, without any difficulty well enough, so you had no trouble translating.
Yes, yes. Because as I said, and Abdu'l-Baha is using a Turkish which is infused with Arabic and Persian. So, it's, I think if Iranians would read that, they wouldn't get the Turkish words or the suffixes, but most of the content, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Saeed asks, can you provide more details about the content of the letters to the Ottoman reformers?
I could, yes. I have a talk about that at the Korean True Baha'i Center. Actually, it's online, so maybe. And then also at the Clearwater Baha'is in Florida and Wilmette Institute, I guess. So they're all online at YouTube, in their respective channels. But I also have a YouTube channel which you can find.
And I should add the one we did last time, 3 weeks ago. We only
Yes.
we didn't record the first 20 minutes, so we're going to go back and get that straightened out. So we'll be able to put up a complete
Yes.
presentation of that last one. Carol says, what might be the reason for Abdu'l-Baha to write one letter in 3 languages?
I don't know. I mean, why did Baha'u'llah write in Arabic and Persian? I cannot answer that. I think it's a style. I don't know. And probably that person spoke all 3 languages, and for whatever reason, Abdu'l-Baha was just switching. I really don't know.
And Nazanin asks, what was the content of that particular tablet that was written in 3 languages?
Oh, that one. Oh, yes. I don't know if I did a provisional translation, but that was to a physician. It was to a physician, and the Abdu'l-Baha calls him, "O physician of the heart." So, and then he continues that the divine medicine has appeared, and saying that Baha'u'llah is the divine physician, and what Baha'u'llah has provided, that he provided the healing of the world, and things like that.
One person also asks, I'm going up here, Adib asks, are you planning to make your excellent and valuable provisional translations of these Turkish tablets available in some form, maybe on a website or an article focused on the subject?
Yes, I should. And you asked me, Rob. There will be another, what this journal in religions, I think.
Right.
So Mujan and Rob kindly asked me, and I will write about Abdu'l-Baha's Turkish tablets, and hopefully also provide more provisional translation for that. Yes.
Though we probably don't have room for very many provisional translations in it, so I suspect you'll have to put those somewhere else as well.
I guess so. I should. Yes. The thing is that years ago, when I was at the Baha'i World Centre, I translated actually all of those, and they're at the Baha'i World Centre. But you know, they have to decide what to do with that. But I can do it for, I mean, apart from that, I can also do it like as a personal thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are all of these tablets available in Haifa, or were some of them located in Ottoman archives or other places?
I haven't seen any in the Ottoman archives. They're at the Baha'i World Centre, and they are actually, as far as I can remember, they're almost all of them draft letters or draft tablets sent out. So the Baha'i World Centre has the drafts, and they, most of them were published, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, in Iran in a booklet, in a small booklet, but they have typos. They contain typos. But years ago, again, with someone, with a lady from the archives at the Baha'i World Centre, we met in Istanbul and we corrected the typos, who were mostly written by secretaries. And so again, the Baha'i World Centre has them, and hopefully they will be published one day.
Someday. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Mm.
What was my other question? Oh, I had another question. I can't think of what it was.
Mm.
Oh, Badri Pasha, you said he received 30 tablets. What can you say more about those tablets? You said a lot of them were on political matters, but these were political matters in the sense of advising him how to do administration or how to avoid getting entangled in things, or what?
Actually, it's some are about his administration, like as Governor General in Albania, but mostly they are private letters to him. For example, Abdu'l-Bahá saying, your mother here is fine, your children are fine. So he's somewhere else, you know, in say Abdu'l-Bahá is in Haifa, he's in Damascus, whatever. So, and then at some point he says, I will send you the olive oil you asked for, or, you know, I will send you the seal you asked me to you know, to commission here in Haifa, and things like that. And then there's also one tablet or letter where Abdu'l-Bahá interprets a dream of Badri Pasha, actually.
Interesting.
Yes.
So it's really a kind of personal relationship, almost he's mentoring him, and he's mentoring him, kind of.
Yes. And I should say that actually I forgot to mention, there are, among the published Turkish tablets of Abdu'l-Bahá, there is one which is about it's an interpretation of Abdu'l-Bahá about the Surah 95 of the Quran, the fig and olives, which I have published years ago. And then another one also about a hadith, an oral tradition about also something like a wicked man. So they're also all posted online, and so this was the start of my engagement with Abdu'l-Bahá's Turkish tablets, actually.
Well, that's good. Interesting. Saeed asks about Badri Pasha. Was he a known person in the present? Is he known in the present Turkish Republic?
No, he's not, unfortunately. I mean, historians probably know him. You know, he's famous for translating French operas into Ottoman Turkish, and he also wrote articles for a journal. Actually, he was editing and publishing himself about history, and then also about munitions, even like munitions, how to use munitions, and things like that. But he's not known. And as I have mentioned before, years ago I did some research, and I actually found a great granddaughter of his, and got in contact with her, and she was delighted and didn't know about the Baha'i connection, and also she sent me one photo with his two little daughters, actually.
Oh, how nice. Carol asks, are there any letters from Abdu'l-Baha to Kemal Ataturk?
That's a question that is chasing me for I don't know how many decades, and it's mostly by Turkish Baha'is. This is this is unresolved issue. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't seen any. Years ago, I had asked the Baha'i World Centre. They said they don't have anything. Some older Baha'is used to say that there are letters of Abdu'l-Baha to Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, but I'm afraid it's Baha'i lore. But I'm sure, you know, as Mustafa Kemal was a young officer, he was stationed in Jaffa and also Damascus, so very close to Haifa, and I'm sure he knew somehow. He heard about Abbas Effendi, but the contact, you know, I really don't know.
That's interesting. So there's no proof that they ever crossed paths, but it's not impossible.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. Bill says that Bill Collins says that when he was in Haifa, he found an original tablet of Abdu'l-Baha inside a library book, and it was instructions to a member of the household to obtain certain provisions.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I once saw someone once told me of a tablet to Abdu'l-Baha from Abdu'l-Baha wrote the lady back saying thank you for the Joseph of Gand, the block of sugar or something.
Yes. Yes.
Carol also says that you had mentioned to her that Ataturk might have had Baha'i books in his library.
Yes, he indeed had. There is a catalog which was published, I think, in the 1970s, which I had found, and I think he had 3, like a French translation of the Epistle to the Son of the Wolf, and then a French translation of a book by Mirza Abul Fazl, I think, and another one I don't recall right now. So he
knew Turkish? Ataturk?
Pardon me?
Did Ataturk know Turkish?
Oh, he was a Turk.
No, but did he know? I mean, sorry, French. Did he know French?
French, yes, he knew. Sorry. He knew French very well. Yes.
Wrong word.
He also spoke it, yeah, and some German actually, and some English. But French was his first, like, foreign language, and he read it actually, and some books which were, let's say, for example, translated from English to French, he let translate from French into Ottoman Turkish. Actually, most important one is this short history of mankind by Herbert G. Wells, the famous British
H.G. Wells, yeah.
Yes, H.G. Wells, and the one who wore a time machine and so on. But he was an amazing visionary, and so Ataturk, he's the only one. Wells is the only one Ataturk quotes in his long speech in 1927, and where actually he quotes Wells speaking about the United States of Earth, and Abdu'l-Baha says it's a nice idea, and it's so this is like translated from French into Turkish.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Someone else asked this question whether there was any communication between the Guardian and Ataturk. So while we're on kind of an Ataturk digression, but that's okay.
I think I had also asked this, but I don't know. I think the Baha'i World Centre doesn't have any, but in The Priceless Pearl, Ruhiya Khanum quotes a telegram by Shogh Effendi to the second man, like the prime minister then, and about some arrests, imprisonments of Baha'is in Turkey, and you can read it in The Priceless Pearl. But to Ataturk himself, I don't know. I haven't seen any.
Interesting. Now, other than Bedri Pasha, were there any Turkish-speaking Baha'is, not Azeri, but Turkish-speaking Baha'is who received tablets?
Yes. But interestingly, so I haven't seen Turkish tablets to Turkish Baha'is in Istanbul. There are Persian tablets to Turkish Baha'is in Istanbul, who were mostly of Iranian, like Iranian pioneers.
Sure.
So there are quite some Persian letters to Istanbul Baha'is, actually. I haven't seen any Turkish ones.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
That's quite interesting. And then altogether, how many Turkish language tablets of Abdu'l-Baha are you saying? Around 400, 500?
Yes, so if you combine like the official letters to Ottomans and then the tablets to Baha'is, they should be around 600, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good size number of tablets,
And
actually.
then about 10 Turkish poems.
Yeah, tell us a bit about the poems, which I'm sure are hard to translate, but the fact that Abdu'l-Baha is able to write quality poetry in Turkish really says a lot about his language skill.
Yes, yes. I mean, these are I have to look, but these are very beautiful and you know, as you said, very difficult to translate. Some poems, some deeply mystical poems, where he uses Persian imagery like the curl of the beloved and things like that, you know. He speaks about the divine Joseph, for example, and you know, I don't recall all of them, but I hope to translate those in the future.
Well, that would be marvelous to have something like that in English as well.
Mm.
I don't see any other questions. Perhaps we will get a few more. People really have been quite interested in this particular one, well engaged in it, and we're delighted that this was possible to have a presentation like this. Yeah,
my pleasure.
Yeah, I don't see anything else. So I guess that's it today from the Corinne True Center for Baha'i Studies. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks when we will have Nancy, what's her name? Nancy Lee. I forgot her full name, talking about the Hand of the Cause of God, Millie Collins, and the various misconceptions that have been circulating about Millie Collins. And actually, we now have another question from Adib here, so I guess I'll do that. Do we know to what extent Baha'u'llah knew Turkish?
Yes, yes, he knew. I mean, he knew because, as I said, he was son of a minister at the Qajar court, and they spoke Turkish at home, if you will. And so, I mean, as a Baha'i, we know that, you know, Baha'u'llah says he just knew everything. But like as a person, yes, he spoke also Turkish, and there are some anecdotes where he speaks Turkish to Azeri Baha'is in Akka.
But no tablets.
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. That's interesting. He left that to Abdu'l-Baha.
Yes.
Very good. Well, like I said, Nancy Lee Harper in 2 weeks on the 27th of October talking about Millie Collins. And so we're looking forward to seeing some of you at that time as well. We hope that we will continue to have good audiences for these webinars. And thank you again for joining us today. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.